Yeah, yeah.
So David, I'm really interested to know when it was that you decided, okay, I'm going to be a photographer as a professional. And Tony came up with a very good thing too. That how you got hired by Playboy. That's
Oh,
that's a whole nother thing. So
Yeah.
take us back to the beginning, man. Like, how old were you when you?
I knew I was going to be a photographer when I was, I guess when I was 12. I was extremely shy little kid, but for some reason had this idea that I was going to be a famous photographer, which I'm really lucky because at that age you don't know whether you're any
Right.
good. You know, you hear about actors that they but
All they
when
wanna
push
do is
comes
act.
to when the push comes to shove, they realize, shit, I'm not a good actor. When I was in I think grade 7, I was a shy little kid and had to stand up in class. We had to take turns standing up saying, what do you want to do when you get older? And here I am, a shy, skinny little kid in Canada, and I stood up and said, I want to be a Playboy photographer and live in the southern United States.
You literally said,
I
I'm
literally
gonna
said that.
Playboy
That's
photographer.
Yeah,
deep.
and talk about
Speaking it into existence.
Yes.
Yeah,
Damn.
and it's not even something that I then sought out to do.
Yeah.
And the reason I said that, because for me, Playboy was, up here.
Right.
I love sneaking and looking at my dad's Playboy, excuse me. But also as a little Canadian kid, to us at that time, America, no matter where, it was like Hollywood. So I had this dream, and it wasn't until years later that I happened to be coming home doing something for Playboy, and I was in the newspaper, the local newspaper, and they had talked about where I was from, and then a couple of months later, I was back up in Canada again, picked up a friend or picked up a guy hitchhiking, and it turned out it was a guy I went to high school with.
Wow.
David's that guy. He'll pick
And
up
he was-
hitchhikers.
Yeah, this was back when, yeah. And he was like, I saw you in the paper, and I was like, yeah, And he said, do you remember? He said, you said in grade 7 or whatever grade it was, you said that this is what you were going to do. And I had kind of forgotten about that. And when he reminded me, I was like, yeah, I do remember
Wow.
standing up and saying that.
So take me back to the, like, did you read that they were hiring in the paper, or
No,
how'd
what
you,
happened?
how'd you get
Right,
the interview?
Tony
What
wants to
happened?
be a Playboy photographer.
No, I'm just saying,
So
like,
he wants to know.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, it's
no, no, no.
always like who
Absolutely,
you know or
yeah.
who
You can't
knows
just like
you.
walk in.
Well,
and
this
just-
is, if to go back, it was just being completely,
Tenacious.
just being naive to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, knowing what I know now, I would never have done that. Because I would have been like, there's no fucking way I'm
Right.
gonna get that.
You ignorantly blissed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and what happened was I was shooting at a mansion. I still remember where it was, over there by, anyway, in a nice part of Atlanta. And I was shooting there, and the owner came up and said, Playboy was here last week, shooting. And I was like, really? And back then, it's before digital, we used Polaroids. We'd have a Polaroid camera attached to the back of our camera. So he said, do you want to have a look at the Polaroids? And I was like, yeah, sure. So he shows me the Polaroids, and I'm like, God, I could do this.
Yeah, I could do this, no problem.
No problem. You can shoot naked girls.
Yeah.
And then it so
can't do
happened
like
that
that.
my assistant also assisted a Playboy photographer sometimes. So I said to him, I'm like, do you have the contact information for a Playboy producer? And he's like, no, I can't. I have a conflict of interest. I can't show you that. I was like, okay. So at the end of the shoot day, we get into the company van. We're heading back to the studio. And this is back before cell phones, and so you keep all your information in a big, we call it my brain, my big, organizer. So he had his organizer sitting beside me. I'm driving the van. We pull up to a Quick Trip. I'm like, hey, could you get me a Pepsi? So he goes in, and as soon as he leaves the van, pick up his organizer, and I'm like, Playboy. There we are. Close it. He gets back in the van. I'm like, thanks.
Thanks for the Pepsi.
Yeah, thanks for the Pepsi. So anyway, the next day I called the contact and got a meeting with her. Of all
Told you it was a
places,
story.
of Murphy's down in Virginia Highlands.
Uh-huh.
So I met her down there. I remember the first thing she did was she spread out a bunch of Playboy magazines on the table.
This is the producer?
Yeah,
Okay.
to give me an idea of what Playboy did. And I was still this kind of
You're like-
shy, naive, and I'm like kind of
There's
covering them
people
all
here.
up. The people are covering them all up. So I show her my portfolio, which has no nudes in it.
Right.
It's all kind of some lower end fashion stuff because I was still kind of at the beginning. Some kind of, I look back at it now, almost like college level photography. So she takes my book, we talk for a while, and she sends it to Chicago. And about 2 weeks later, I get a call from one of the VPs up there saying they're interested in using me. Have I shot girls before that were not real models? And I lied and said, oh yeah, and I know how to direct them. And so he said, okay, we're gonna give you a chance. So I started doing that. I started shooting. I would take sick days. I had a full-time job at a studio, and I would take sick days and secretly sneak off and do my Playboy shoots. And they
I'm
became
not feeling good.
Yeah,
Next thing you know,
right,
like,
right.
move your titties to the left. I said.
They were like, we can tell you're new because you have an erection.
I'm not. That's just how it is all the time. It's
It's
just
funny. People always ask me, so many girls, they try to fuck with you.
yeah.
Of course.
You're shooting them. There's some that are just trying to get you to get
Tease you,
excited.
yeah.
Anyway, that's where it started.
Wow.
And the work from there, I started working more and more until they finally, the funny thing is, this was at the change, the millennium, where it turned 2000. They were going to do a Playmate of the Millennium search. And they were going to trick out this bus. I think they were going to spend $3 million on this bus that was going to travel around the country. And this was before reality shows. There was a few reality, before they were a big thing.
Yeah.
They were going to send this bus around the country with a camera crew, trying to find Playmate of the Millennium. And I was like, I wanted to, but I was dating this new girl.
She wasn't having it.
And
So
she
you
was-
gonna get on a bus and drive around the country and find the baddest bitch, huh?
Yeah. On the
Hell
planet.
no, you can't go.
You want to do what? Yeah. No.
What's the job?
So at the same
description?
time,
But hey, let me stop you real quick. If you went back, if you could go back, would that decision be like, I'm definitely gonna go do this?
no, well, that decision was changed about 4 months later
Oh, okay.
after talking to my father.
Okay, good.
I'm getting
Because-
on the bus, damn it.
Yeah,
your
no,
dad's
no.
like. you
Well,
gonna
no,
do-
no, I never did go on that bus.
Oh, okay.
That I do regret. But there was
That's
the
what I'm
bus-
talking about, the bus,
Yeah, the
yeah.
bus that I do regret. Although everything happens for a reason, but at the same time, they were also courting me they wanted me to start shooting for becoming one of the main photographers for the magazine. So for about 4 or 5, 6 months, I was ignoring their phone calls. They were calling me. And I know one of the guy that really believed in me, Kevin Custer, who didn't give up on me, was being told, fuck him, fuck David Ramsey. He's not answering our calls. And Kevin was like, I know he's got a reason. I know that. And
You were doing that because of the girl?
because of the girl. I was recently divorced
Right.
and was dating this young 21-year-old hot model. I didn't even know she was that old. And,
She was legal though. That's all that matters.
yeah.
She was legal.
And she
Or was
did.
she? Or was she? David? We'll leave it
To
at that.
drive,
We'll leave it at
Right,
that.
so one day I'm
Hey,
talking
to
to my-
drive me.
So I'm talking to my dad on the phone one day, and he's like, he noticed I'm acting a little down and depressed, and he's like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "I've been offered something that most guys would just jump on, and I'm ignoring the phone calls." And I told him about the bus, and I told him about the offer, and he was like, "Are you an idiot?"
That's-
He was like, Playboy aside, there's a 21-year-old girl, you're a father and have a son you need to support,
yeah.
and you're turning down work? He's like, number one, I don't care if it's Playboy. He said, you can't let some girl
Dictate your life.
Dictate how you need to be making
Plus
money.
what you've been working so hard at.
Yeah, so yeah, that was. I was like, I'm going to be
It's a
working.
good dad.
And that's why I began working for them. And luckily, Kevin never gave up. It wasn't until years later that he told me that he had been advised to fuck David Rams. He's ignoring us, and he was like, no, I think.
Well, it's a power. You know, it's a power thing.
Yeah.
When they're sitting
Like
there.
I always say, if it's for you, can't nothing stop it.
Yeah.
So
So I started. It was 17 years for that. Every year it went on. I was like, this is too good to be true. This isn't going to last.
right.
And 17 years later, finally 17
That's a
years
long
later.
time, man.
Yeah, and it went by.
And now, you know, the magazine doesn't exist anymore, so everything's online. So,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
neither.
I think, right?
When I left Playboy, I
Damn,
was
I'm
like,
still paying
I'm
for my
assuming-
subscription.
I thought it was-
I No
When's the
wonder.
last time we got a prescription?
That was a
When's the last time we got
complete
a
joke.
prescription?
That was a complete joke.
Yeah. Don't be reading internet.
But yeah, is the Playboy, is it out of print?
I thought, man,
When I
listen,
stopped
man,
there,
the last time I actually saw any kind of magazine like that was like,
They still have a magazine rack in the grocery store, but it's
they do.
empty. Every time I go there's no one down the aisle. That's for sure.
yeah, I mean, why would you?
When I stopped, I didn't really, I kind of was trying to reinvent myself, so I didn't talk about it anymore, didn't watch it, didn't look at it. The first time I kind of got reinvigorated in it was when Hef died. And CVS called me and wanted to come over, and that was when I was like, okay, well maybe
Did you ever like hang out with Hef or?
Not really. I met him a few times. We worked for him. So
Yeah.
it's funny, growing up I always thought that the photographers probably went and had dinner with him but no,
Hung out with him.
hung out, but no, you're an employee.
Yeah.
You're like,
He treats
you
you,
know,
like
you're like the gardener. That's why if you went to the parties, you were kind of,
yeah,
it would
like,
be
exactly.
like someone that works for him coming to a
Yeah,
party.
but you
You're
could
kinda-
tell his demeanor. I mean, I met him twice, so I've been there 3 times. I saw him twice. One of the times he wasn't even there.
Yeah,
They were like, he's not even here. He's like, I don't know, somewhere else.
yeah.
So how much of the females, when how much of that is Photoshop and all that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Back in for what I did, there wasn't a whole lot.
right? So they really
Photoshop.
look like that.
There was a few times that I would see something of mine and was like, wow, you really went overboard and did something you didn't need to do.
Right.
But most of the time, most of my stuff, it wasn't really Photoshopped. Mind
Well,
you,
I'm
I
just
was
saying
shooting-
how the females actually looked compared to what the pictures look like. You know what I'm saying? That's like.
Yeah. I mean,
Do they really look
Like, in
like
other
that?
words,
Do they really
if-
look
when
like
you-
that in real life?
When you see them in the magazine, like if you saw that same girl with some jeans on and a regular shirt just
You'd be like,
walking
"That's
past,
not
would
her."
you know what I'm saying? Like, are they? You know what I mean? I know a
Yeah,
lot of them
no,
are
they
beautiful,
but
but
that has, in some ways, that had nothing to do with Playboy.
okay.
That's the photographers. I know how to shoot someone and make them to a certain. I can
Bring out the best.
Be the best version of them.
To
angles and whatnot.
that's, you know,
Lighting.
it's all about lighting, positioning. There are tricks.
Yeah.
You know, I've told people before, I'll be shooting someone and I'll be looking, and I'll fall for my own tricks where I'll be looking through the camera going,
Damn.
and then I'll be like, oh, there you are.
That ain't you.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Who's in this lens?
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's you just learn how to light and pose, and there's tricks for everything. You know, if we went to a town where we see, I would go when I was on tour. We'd go to a different town every week, and I would find the girls. I would get to a town and do the radio shows, and be on television, basically talking about what I'm doing in town, and then girls would cast for the next couple of days. I would pick 3 or 4 or 5 and 2 pictorials the rest of the week. If we didn't find any single girl that was strong enough, we found that
Putting them together
2 or 3
in a group.
average-looking naked girls
Right.
Equals
equals a really hot picture.
Right, exactly.
Where if you actually broke it down and looked at those girls individually, you'd be like, they're okay.
Right.
Yeah, like I remember when I was at the house, like all the girls were pretty, but I remember being like, they don't look
No,
like
yeah.
they do. You know what I mean?
That's
they
what
look,
I'm saying.
They're not. Yeah, I know what you're saying. So you know what Tony's saying is like,
Oh, exactly. No, I'd be on the
Mm-hmm.
road. Sometimes I do be on the road, not shooting, but doing guest appearances somewhere, and they'd hire me as a photographer, and a playmate would join me. And I remember so many times I'd hear guys being like, "It doesn't look like,
Right.
yeah.
doesn't look like her."
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, I mean, reality, right?
But then me as a photographer, and I don't know if you guys are different. I can though look at that girl and be like,
See what her potential.
I can see a hot girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there are girls I'll see on the street that the average guy might be like, not look twice
Oh,
at her,
yeah.
but I can look at her and be like, there is a.
There's something there.
Or there's girls that are street hot. that
Right.
The average girl is like, or the average guy would be like, wow, she's hot. Where I look at her and be like, she is, but she wouldn't do very well in front of
Right.
the camera.
Wow.
You know.
That's cool. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, David's got an eye for sure. Like,
Yeah.
You know, I've known you for a while.
Talking about personal stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's okay.
I don't know
gotta get
you.
a little- I gotta get a little personal because I love you. You know, your families.
But yeah, and also during those days I thought I was one of the good guys. Like I thought, but looking back at some of the things it was a crazy time.
Well, it's different, right?
There's
'Cause-
Quaaludes was around back then.
Yeah, Quaaludes were. I haven't heard that.
That's what I heard.
I heard that
That's
word
what I
in a while.
heard, and I don't know this from that's what I heard-
Experience.
yeah, that's what I heard. Hef's one of Hef's big things was Quaaludes, giving girls
Probably.
Quaaludes.
You know, I didn't hang out with him like that, so I don't know.
Not that you remember.
It's vague. Again, that portion of my life,
Right.
I remember. It's kind of like, you know, when you're a kid and you growing up in a different country and you're like, I remember that building, but I don't remember what happened in that building.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
I was happy after.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
left
yeah.
though, you know what I mean?
But I remember when I first started working for them, I was going up to Chicago. That's where the main headquarters was, and I still remember Kevin saying to me, "You know, that this is going to attract a lot of women. You're going to have a lot of women." I remember saying to him, which we laugh about too today, me being like, "I don't need Playboy to get women."
That's what you told Kevin?
I was like, "I don't need Playboy to get women."
Uh-huh.
You're lucky. And then years later, I remember I was like, "No, you were right.
Yeah.
It really was a."
It was explosion.
It was like kid in a candy store.
Pun intended.
But now I look back, I can't believe, I look back to my life then, which at the time seemed very normal. Because it happened so gradually, it seemed very normal. Looking back now, I'm like, my life was not normal.
No. Testosterone was driving the car.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
you know.
You know, being a Playboy photographer is definitely not the normal kind
No.
of a
Right.
thing people experience.
No.
It's probably a very small percentage of
Yeah.
that.
So I feel blessed in that way that I was able to experience something that, you know, is almost part of American pop culture.
Yeah.
right.
You know, that I was a big part of that.
Yeah. Well, Tony, I mean, you can relate, man. I mean,
Yeah.
being a pro athlete and professional bodybuilder, traveling all over the world.
Well, that's
What was
kind of
that
why.
like?
That's kind of why I asked him about, you know, do the girls really look like that?
Yeah.
Because, you know, in fitness and all that, you know, they film us, you know, the
Lighting
day after the
and-
contest.
yeah.
You know,
You're
when you're
still-
in peak condition and
yeah.
all that, and then the rest of the time you don't really look like that. So that's what I was curious about. You know, like,
What do you look like?
well, what I'm saying is like they catch you at the peak of your conditioning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in the gym after the show, you're full because you ate,
Yeah.
but you're still dry
And you're lean.
because you're lean.
Yeah.
And then as you see that same individual, you know, a month down
You're
the
like,
road,
if I
or
look like
whatever,
this last night,
right?
I
That's
won
what I'm
the
saying.
show.
So that's what I mean. Like, you know,
Yeah.
how much is Photoshop? How much is it? Because I know they don't diet. Well, maybe some of them do diet down for that show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like we were photographed at our best.
They know
almost
because
all the time.
So like when he's talking about like, you know, like literally he'll compete and then sometimes they do photo shoots backstage, right?
Well, you can do photos backstage, but I'm saying like.
But the next day
you
is
would
really
do
when
shoots
they-
2, 3, 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
For the whole year.
So they'll be
or
at a
least half
show,
the year.
like he'll be doing like the Arnold or whatever, and then right.
Have you
as-
ever met him?
Oh yeah. All the time.
So
I've seen
as soon
all-
as he's done, they'll set up photo shoots because they know that they're gonna be at the peak.
At the peak, yeah.
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 So in what you were doing, was there groupies and you have your,
Big time.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of muscle worshipers out there, male and female. You know, of course, being a straight male, the males used to be more irritating because they're talking to you like you're a woman.
Yeah,
you
you're
know what
like,
I'm saying? I'm like,
"Time
yo,
out,
man, you know, I like biceps too, but come on, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like mine.
So, but you know, being 300 pounds at 6'2", you know, there's not a lot of tall bodybuilders anyway. So it was an interesting time, especially I was a shy kid growing up, really skinny, and then all of
Oh,
a
yeah.
sudden I got all these muscles, like, you know, like the dudes in the magazine. Then I am the dude in the magazine.
Just like the story in
You
the
know?
magazine, the little
Yeah,
cartoon.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
like that. And so I was a male dancer before I was a bodybuilder, so I kind of, I wouldn't say used to it, but it was because it was different. Because I think it was more women when I was a dancer
Yeah.
than bodybuilding, because all women don't really like big, gigantic muscle dudes.
And the dancing thing is a whole different genre too of kind of fans, right? It's like a different thing.
That's a whole nother.
It's a whole other
Like
thing.
you become you're the object in both scenarios, but I mean, you the bitch
Yeah,
in that
you-
situation.
like you-
When you're a male dancer,
Yeah.
you got like, you know,
Yeah.
500 women, and so you're the person that they're making it rain on or all that
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of stuff. So it was different, very different.
Do you
Definitely
find
not normal.
No, that's what I was gonna say. See, not
Well,
normal.
do you find, just going off, do you find female bodybuilders, is that an attraction to you?
I look at, you know, I'm not gonna find you more attractive because you are a bodybuilder or because you're not a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? So if a
But you must
woman
have
is
a
a
body type you
bodybuilder and
like.
she's hot, then it's just the facts.
Yeah.
Usually, when I see a female bodybuilder, it's more. I'm looking at her for more for what it is. I'm more admiring her physique.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I like, petite, dainty,
Yeah, me too.
soft, bouncy. You know what I mean? That's, you know what I mean? That's kind of. But it's not that I'm not attracted to muscular women. It's just like
Preference.
It's just a different perception.
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
just a preference.
You know what I'm saying? I can't really look at her in a lustful way because I'm too busy checking out the V-taper and the separation and stuff. You know what
Like
I'm
all
saying?
the hard
that.
work put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of give them credit where credit is due. Where, I got a thing for pink, mini skirts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
On a soft woman, that's just what I prefer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Both you guys were shy kids,
That's what I was saying. We're both
and then both you guys
skinny little shy.
went,
and got exposed like that.
got exposed
So-
like that. See, I was never shy.
See,
I was,
so
And
you
women
think-
can sense that too.
yeah.
They can sense that you're not. Hey, he's not coming after me like most of them do.
Yeah,
What's
like,
up with that?
He actually doesn't want me. Like, what's going on? See, I was the opposite. I was a crazy motherfucker then.
And you're crazy about
I'm
it
an
now.
even more crazy motherfucker now. So, but yeah, I kind of, was in the same realm. I was in entertainment since I was 18, so, and I didn't even know anything about that. Like,
Yeah,
I was,
it comes to a point was just another day at the office, but
yeah, but I was like, once I did it, I was like, I'm not gonna do a regular job. Like, why would you, right? Did you ever have that day where you were like, I'm never gonna do a regular
Oh, I never,
not-
never ever in my life did a regular job come into my head. That's why I was really lucky that I was good. with what because I never considered anything else.
Yeah.
So I
that's
don't,
how
yeah.
I mean, I knew I was going to be
Right,
an
same with you.
entrepreneur.
Did you ever have a regular job?
Like I told you, that first one I washed dishes for one day,
And you were like, I'm out.
and then I don't think I had another regular job. After that, I did construction,
Right.
which is basically your 1099.
Yeah.
Unless you actually get hired by the company. Normally, they just hire you, pay you by the hour. They give you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you had so that's what I was until I started dancing. Then after that, it was bodybuilding.
You were like-
so I've pretty much always been entrepreneur since day
That's
one.
good. Yeah, I tried to have a job when I was in middle school. I was like, all right, let me try.
Yeah.
So I got a job at the mall, and I quit the first one at the end of the day, and then I was like, all right, let me give it one more try. I quit the second one at lunch.
All right.
I went to the manager. I was like, listen, I'm sorry. I don't want to leave you hanging. Can I just go in and leave? You can keep the money. I don't even want it.
Wow.
And she was like, we had a pool going of how long you're gonna last. I'm gonna win the money, so you're good.
Oh wow.
She said, I put it down.
I remember I
Because
did.
they said the same thing. They were like, you don't seem like the person that needs to be in a 9-to-5 situation. Like, you need to be out there doing something crazy. Like.
Although I sometimes envy that 9 to 5.
I always used to
I'm like,
admire
oh,
people
man.
who, like people who work for Home Depot. My uncle works for Home Depot. He's been there for like 27 years. I mean, think about that. That's security. I mean, he was there in the beginning. He probably got stocks and all that.
Yeah.
I always admire that.
Benefits,
always.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I always tell, part of me would love that, and people are like, no, you'd be sick of that within a few days.
Fuck.
But I'd be
all
like,
of
I could.
All of it.
To each his own. I'm glad that everybody has different mentalities.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
that's why the world works. You have to have that, that group, and then you gotta have, this group.
the creators and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that, getting up in the morning and getting ready for work and driving in that traffic. That's
I told my 16-year-old, I'm like, you better start thinking of a business.
Yeah.
Because I already know you ain't gonna be that. No,
Oh,
you know
really?
what I'm saying?
You
Yeah,
see
and
that?
you could tell when he's young. And and
Well,
again,
really, both your boys.
yeah, Nico's the same way.
Yeah. How
But
old are
that's what I
kids?
mean. I got a 16-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 31-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But Nico, he's
Yeah.
been. I think he did work at a couple of places,
Try it
like
out.
before college.
Yeah, try it
but
out.
now he's got his master's degree. He's running his own thing.
Yeah, and when you do that, you just like solidify that thought. Like I don't have to ever think like, well, I never tried. What if I liked it?
Right.
But no, I'm like I tried twice and I hated both times.
Yeah.
It's funny because before then I always knew I got to do something on my own. You know,
Yes.
especially my family immigrated here, so my dad started from we left everything. He started from nothing and then built a business and did
Wow.
like all by himself. And he learned how to speak English and like all this stuff. So
Dang,
seeing him in front of me like that, I'm like, okay, that's why we came to this country. Because where we were, there's no opportunity like that. You basically just you're fishing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like literally.
Like no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sure if you
Well,
live
yeah,
on the coast, you're
if that's what
fishing.
it
Though.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
We
I'm
live
just
in-
making
We
sure.
lived in the capital, so there was no fishing there. But you know, like it's like okay, well, my dad did all that stuff, sacrificed to get us over here. We get over here. For
How
me-
old were you?
Oh, I was little, man. I mean, so before we even came to this country, we left Persia, went to Germany, lived in Germany for like 3-4 years until we got our, paperwork went
Yeah.
through to come to America, become citizens. And so, and we left like a bad time. We left like when all that crazy shit was going on over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
What year was that? Where was that?
well, the revolution I think started in I don't know 70 something.
Yeah.
I know it was going on when I was born in '78. So
Yeah.
so it was still going on, but we left during that time. And I remember I was young, but I remember and my sister was really young, like a baby. I remember when we went to the airport, my entire family was there because our family mainly lived there. And at the airport, we were saying goodbye, and I didn't know like we're not gonna see these people.
Right.
I'm not gonna come back. Like I've never been back. You know what I mean? So we left, and then later, as I got older, like when we were in Germany, where we stayed, there was a lot of Persians, but there was a lot of Armenians too. So I learned how to speak German and Armenian and studied English while I was there because we were coming to America. So I became fluent in Armenian, fluent in German, and then I was learning English.
Do you still have that?
Yeah, I mean, if I sit there and speak with somebody, I can go.
Yeah.
Now if I went there for like 2 weeks or something like that, I would be fine. You know what I mean? They would all come back because I learned it when I was really young.
Yeah.
So, when we came to America and I was still young, so at that point I didn't really understand like how much of a big opportunity this is. Like,
Right.
this
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
This, until I got a little bit older, then I was like, holy shit, we're in this country that everybody tries so hard to come to. And the reason is that you can literally do anything you want, but you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just like, hey, I want to be rich and just sit down and do no fucking work and then get rich. That's not going to happen, right? So you got to have to figure out what you want to do and then, go for it. But you have that opportunity here. A lot of places in the world, you don't even have that.
Right. You can dream up something and then plan it out and execute over here. I really love, I've got several things that we, kind of made up on sitting at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And, wrote some shit on a piece of paper or whatever.
Yeah.
And then kind of put it in your mind and, months later or years later even. That's why I always talk about seed time harvest. The stuff that you did in 17 is just now.
Dude,
a lot of stuff that I started in 17 is just now starting to bear fruit really well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Seed
it's really kind of cool.
time harvest.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm living, and it just like today I
Seed
walked in.
time harvest, expand on that. What?
Like the sower and the seed.
Yeah.
Everything in the universe comes from seed.
Yeah.
Started as a seed, and the seeds hold all the power to create the fruit. And one little seed, you can never tell how much fruit that one little seed is going to bear. It's going to depend on the soil that you put it in, the sun, how much sun, all those
All the
factors.
things, yeah.
That's the time, and so I kind of do everything in life. Like today, coming in here, preparing for this, that guy that left, I'm just listening to him and
He
Elon's
was fascinating.
conversation, and you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, whoa, that's something that I can get.
And that's
get
not a
down with.
coincidence either.
No, that's what I'm
what I
exactly
mean?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that little seed that we planted today is gonna, bear fruit. No pun intended, but
Hey.
that's how we started this. That's how we, I went from seeing a photograph
Yeah.
of somebody that actually did bodybuilding correctly that was not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Who was it?
His name is Antonio Underwood.
All right.
And my ex-wife had met him, and he gave her a photograph. And I saw that photograph, and I realized that that's a regular dude who was able to do that to himself. Before, all I saw was Arnold, so I thought that it was all Hollywood. But I'm like, wait a minute, that's a regular guy. So I was like, I need to meet this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so seeing someone Hollywood or famous
Right.
achieve something like that
Yeah.
made me want to try
You're
it.
like, I can do that.
Yeah, and I made up my mind once I saw him. I was like, it's possible. Boom.
Yeah.
And that moment, it just like a switch. Like, how they say you have these things that happen in your life that just change you.
Yeah.
In that moment, I saw that dude, and I wanted that physique. And the next day, I started my journey on getting it.
Wow.
So
I remember Pumping Iron.
Yes.
And I had the book,
yeah.
and I still remember I say characters, but some of the
Yes.
players in that.
But didn't it come across as
there was
characters?
Colum-
They're
Franco
characters.
Colombo.
But that's what I'm saying. So in my mind,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
that wasn't anywhere possible for be reality to me. And then when I saw somebody that wasn't
Was
a
he in there?
character,
Was he in that? Was he
no, he was a state level guy. I think he got like second place. It was a photograph of him, but the fact that he wasn't
achieved
a
that look.
Hollywood person. It was somebody that lived in Georgia like me, who was a you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I saw that, when I met him, and so I went to the gym, and then I saw another dude at the gym that wasn't quite like this dude because it wasn't a contest, but I was like, oh, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know what
You're
I'm
like,
saying?
oh, I can do
Because
this.
when I was in high school, I got introduced to weights in football, and of course I hated weights because of that experience.
football,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And there was nobody
They'll make
really.
you do it.
There was only a couple of people that had like muscles, non-football muscles. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a bodybuilder. I never forget. He was sitting in the. His name was Rod Crutcher. He was a cornerback, and I came into the field house. He was sitting in a chair. He's like, what's his name? I forgot who had just won he had just won the '82 Mr. Olympia. Chris Dickerson.
Oh, Dickerson,
had
yeah.
just won
Yeah.
that weekend,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What's that?" And I didn't, of course, because I hated weights,
Yeah.
It didn't click then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then once I got to the point where I saw Antonio, I was like, "Wait a minute, this whole bodybuilding thing." Then somebody told me you had to
How old were
diet
you?
a certain way. I was like 19, 20,
Yeah.
21. So a little bit at 19, I saw it, and then 20. And then 21 is when I met Antonio. That's when I actually joined the gym, and all that.
Just
and
went
pursuing after that.
Was he tall like you too, or no?
No, he was like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah. So for the most part, Tony's really tall for a bodybuilding sport,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sport of bodybuilding. So for him to pack on all that muscles, I mean, that's a lot of
How
work.
tall is Isn't Arnold?
Arnold's
tall.
6'2",
Yeah,
yeah.
he's tall.
Yeah, but Arnold was never looking like him, man. Like
No?
no, not even close. And plus,
I also look at pictures afterwards of you.
everything was different back then. But
Yeah.
but Arnold was never. Yeah, I mean he's 6'2", Arnold was 6'2", but Arnold looks like what the classic guys look like now.
I think Arnold could have kept going, but Hollywood, started
Yeah.
making movies. They was like, well, you can't be that big.
Well, he
Yeah.
just changed his vision.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, I'm done here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go here.
He just used that to catapult.
What happened to some of the guys? Because I remember, like, they stick in my head, like there was a guy named Zane.
Frank Zane. Frank Zane's in his 70s. He's still around.
Wow.
I see him.
Franco
at the,
Colombo.
Franco Colombo
Franco just
passed away.
Yeah, just passed away.
He used that little kind of.
Yeah, he
was
was
Arnold's-
Arnold's sidekick basically.
Yeah. And he competed with Arnold. He competed
Yeah.
against him because they would always win like
The short and tall.
short and tall class.
I think
Yeah.
they need to go back to short and tall.
Damn, why don't they do it?
Yeah, well, it'll even out the competition.
Yeah.
I think.
It'll make it more sense too.
Well, I mean, you just looked at this past weekend at the Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
You had Chris. I mean, you had Steve,
Yeah.
then Dexter.
Yeah.
So it was like boop boop
Yeah,
boop boop.
yeah. It looked
You know
like-
what I mean?
yeah, it
So do the tall and short, get the winner, then do the overall.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
For sure.
hey,
Yeah.
now that we're talking about tall and short, I want to talk about the Olympia.
Yeah.
If they don't cancel it,
Oh yeah.
Flex Lewis is doing the Olympia this year.
Yeah, I
the
heard
Open.
that. Yeah, and he already looks crazy. He already.
What? You know that?
Yeah, that guy's gonna clean.
Well, I see he's still in his 20s, ain't he? Is he 30 yet?
I don't know if he's not 30.
So when I was still competing with him, he was like 24, 25.
this dude
26,
looks
man.
crazy, David.
So he may be 30 now.
Crazy.
Like so much muscle on
He's
his
like
frame,
5'5",
and he's got so much muscle on him.
but he's like,
Like
Wow.
thick.
I could declare him the winner already.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at a picture of this.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
And I love Brandon, but I'm just saying, like, your boy is just a whole nother level.
So you got to
he
get it
comes
like
in
in the
dry
that we can like if we're.
We're talking about drugs.
No,
Let's
what?
talk about drugs. You pointed at drugs, man. Let's talk about drugs.
For a
Hold on.
second, you know what? We didn't even ask about that whole.
Covered that.
Yeah, he thought he
Covered
dodged
that.
it.
Yeah.
He thought he dodged it, but
Yeah.
Hey, man, but I do have a question, bro. Was there a photographer that you always like looked up to, or you kind of were like you can relate to? Did you have one of those guys?
No, yes and no. When I was young, there was a photographer for Playboy named David Chan that I was like, I want to do what he does. Coincidentally, he's the one. What was that?
Until you met him.
Until you
Well,
met
yeah,
him.
no. Well, he's the one that I took over.
So you took his job.
I took his
All right.
job. He retired, but he was actually he was coming through Atlanta, and he was at one of my shoots. And as I was shooting, he was kind of picking up some of my garbage, like my Polaroid stuff. And my assistant or someone said, because they knew my story.
Yeah.
They're like, can you believe David Shannon's here
Cleaning up your
cleaning
stuff.
up your garbage? Photography-wise, probably Anton Corbin.
What has he done?
He has done.
Have I seen it? I'm sure.
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen
you've
it.
seen. He's done almost all of U2's photography.
Oh, Corbin.
Most of their
Okay,
videos.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Depeche Mode.
Oh, okay. My favorite
You'd know
bands.
his stuff to see it, and the reason I like him is his stuff is very raw. It's very unproduced. Even if you see behind the scenes at his shoots, it's not some big like Annie Leibovitz
Fancy
thing. It's usually him. And I used to feel embarrassed about that. I don't like having a big, and I used to be like when a client would say, I'd go to see a client, they'd want me to go into detail what I was going to do for them. And I would be kind of at a loss for words because in my head, I'm like, you know what I can do? Just give me your wardrobe or whatever and I'll, and I found, in watching documentaries, he was kind of the same way. That he just, he's very kind of low key and unproduced, and he's definitely got a style.
Dude, I tell you, the studio you do most of your photos out of, like the place of the high rise.
Yeah.
It's incredible the pictures you pull out of that place, and you would never guess you're in that space. Like you'll see it because we'll do a shoot out there. I mean, you got to do a shoot with David. I mean, you got to. But you'll go in, you're like, oh, there's not much, space or area. But man, he pulls out like you'll never guess you're in this space. It's like you're just like you feel like.
Yeah, Erica once. So I was doing I've done a couple of celebrities there.
Yeah.
And it's been recommended, don't shoot them there, shoot them at a mansion or this or that. And I'm like,
To make them feel good.
I was like, once they see what I can do in there, that's kind of the magic is they come in. And it was Erica actually that once was like, if I were you, I wouldn't call that your studio. And I was like, why? And she was like, because you're over there kind of getting ready when she'll do makeup for me. And when they come in, I see the look on their faces that they're like, this isn't a studio. And I'm like, but the magic part is after they've been in there for a while, what they could see I do in there. And I was shooting one celebrity where the person representing the celebrity didn't want to shoot at my studio.
Because
They were like, she needed a big, like a big mansion.
like a
They
big-
wanted a big mansion.
we need a mansion.
So I was like, so the stylist who is Ellie,
Oh, Ellie, yeah.
and Ellie knows what I can
Ellie's
pull.
the
Yeah,
shit.
Ellie knows what I can pull off there. And she
love
was like,
Ellie.
I really want to shoot at your place.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, why don't I tell her we'll shoot at my place in the morning, and in the afternoon to keep everybody else happy, we'll move to a mansion. So I booked a mansion, and she came in, and we shot in the morning, and then lunchtime came, and it's funny, this is a celebrity. She was out walking in the hallway, topless, and we were like, you can't do that. You got to come back in here.
Oh my goodness.
Lunchtime comes, and it's getting time for lunchtime, and she's like, can we eat soon?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we're gonna move to a mansion from here, probably in an hour, and I was gonna have lunch there when we get there. And she was like, well, do I have any say in that? Of course you're the client. She was like, can we blow off the mansion? I want to stay here for the rest of the day.
Hey man, that's what I'm talking
And
about.
that's why, because it's got this great vibe. It's also, I know how the light works in there.
Yeah.
There's stuff in there that you wouldn't believe
Right.
that I've shot.
Dude, you'll be sitting
home
there. Like,
base.
I'm telling you, man. Like
It's home base.
You'll be like, even if I'm not shooting, I'll be
It's
sitting.
tiny.
I'll be sitting there on the couch. They'll be like, "Hey, man, hold this candle." I'm like, "All right." He's like, "Hold it like this." I'm like, "All
Now
right."
take your cock out,
Yes. Take your dick out.
slap it on the table. No, go
Swing it
on.
around the room.
And then it's magic.
Then it's magic. Then we make millions. Why haven't we done that?
I don't
Okay. So anyway, so then he'll do that, and then he'll take a picture, and then like a couple hours later, he'll send it to me, and it looks like we just shot this. Like there was like 50 people involved in this photo that he just did on his phone.
Wow.
Because he's over there, they're getting ready to do whatever, and he's like, I got some time to kill. Posh, hold this. And he'll do it on his phone, and I'm like,
Yeah. And the reason we have a 2-bedroom. It's called the Concord, and my partner she was running a little business out of this very small studio apartment that she wasn't doing anything with. And one day I went down and just kind of did a lighting test to see how the light was coming in. I was
Yeah,
like,
the
this
window's real cool. Like,
it's an amazing situation for doing daylight photography. So I learned how to, I learned how to manipulate and work with the light in there. And even I'm surprised. I'll look at sometimes and I'm like, I can't believe I shot that
Wow.
yeah,
in my place because it looks like it was shot in a big studio.
yeah. Well, David can shoot anywhere. I mean, we did a photo shoot at the goat farm. Remember that?
Yeah, I went into jail right after that.
Yes, you did. He went to jail after that. Not because of the photo shoot, though. Not because of anything we did there, but
Poor goats.
yeah, right.
You're not allowed to do that.
City goats, man. It's different. City goats are. But yeah, man. Like we shot there, and we got some amazing pictures. That,
Some great
I
stuff.
still get compliments. I'm like, yeah, man, that's David. Because every time somebody asks me, I'm like,
Is that downtown? Off of,
yeah.
off of,
It's really weird, right? It's a farm.
right downtown by the water plant. Water
Yep,
treatment
yep,
plant?
Yeah. But I don't think they're allowing that anymore, right?
They are
You
to a
have-
certain
like you have
extent. There's
permits or
going to be,
something?
yeah, you need permits. And it's
did
funny, I'll
something
go
over
in
there.
there, and what was that?
I did something over there.
Yeah. But
I
it's
didn't do
funny.
nothing
You
with
did
the goats,
someone
though.
over there? Is that what
No,
you
I'm
said?
just saying I did a photo shoot over
Oh,
there.
you did
That's
a photo
kinda-
shoot
When
over
you said
there.
the goat farm, that's the first thing that popped up in my head.
Doing someone over there.
No, just
Oh, no,
where it
I mean,
was,
doing a
the
photo
fact
shoot
that people
over
do
there.
photo shoots
Yes.
there. Come on with the goat stuff. But
Tony, I don't know how black people can blush, but it looks like you're blushing.
of course,
But I was shooting there, because then I'll go in there and they'll be like, you can't shoot here and you can't shoot there. And it's kind of hard for me because I'm like, I was shooting in here before some of your people were even born.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
I was shooting there 30 years ago.
stinking rules.
When it was just a bunch of squatters, like there's a lot of just squatters over there. and
Yeah.
People living in some of those buildings without electricity, and true like artists that were like living for their art and living without electricity.
Yeah,
and
they're
plumbing
just doing
and,
day by
Wow.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it was an old man owned it, and it was bought by, I'm not sure who, and now it's going to go to another. I think it's going to another level now. There's so
They're trying to renovate it.
yeah,
Maybe
there's a
some
lot.
lofts
Yeah,
or something.
Something's going on. There's
I
a
hope
big-
not, man. That place has always been like a landmark, right?
Yeah.
For photography and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Man. So you've had a little bit of fun in your life?
Had a little bit of fun, a little bit of trouble.
I want to know how much cocaine you've sniffed in those nostrils. No one else will
Well,
know. It's just between us,
is it
man.
between
Just the
us?
three of us. It's just, no
No,
one's gonna know.
I look back at those days and.
Did you do like Tony
losing
Montana
all-
situation?
No, not like that. But
Where you
I
just have, like, a
remember
mound
when I would
and-
go to these towns. You'd be.
You haven't
I'm having pad problems.
pad problems?
Pad problems.
Seat malfunction.
Having pad problems.
No, I was offered a lot of stuff.
I bet.
I'm sure.
I'd get to a town and I'd be, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, yeah. What do you want? What do you need?
Parties I would go to. I remember.
You ever have any photo shoots turned into video shoots?
Oh,
No.
good question. Good question. I like to.
Or-
I'll take over.
Well,
for
since
that.
everyone's
If he
naked.
doesn't want to ask you, I'm asking.
Well, since we're already naked.
Yes, right. Well, what did you were telling me something like that, right? When they tease you and when you're doing a photo shoot and they're naked and trying to
Yeah,
mess
when
with you.
Being professional in that
Yeah.
situation. Oof.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
But I went in there with the, I went in there with well, actually, it's the way I've been in a lot of my life because I'm kind of shy and didn't like rejection. Is I needed,
Confirmation.
I could not be the instigator in
Right.
something like that.
Well, that's actually what I'm saying, because I'm the same way.
Let me ask you a question,
So-
Tony.
Have you ever been instigated?
Yes. If you were a photographer
Mm-hmm.
in that situation and you were single,
Mm-hmm.
would you ever single?
If I was a single
Ever
and a
single.
photographer in that
I
situation,
mean, obviously, if they were ugly,
I would
but-
just, it would be a traditional happy ending.
You'd
pretty
have
much.
to, right?
Pretty much.
Like you couldn't.
See, I don't know how much to say here, but I'll give you an example. So we used to do
Say it all, David.
After
It's just
every
the three of us here.
After every we'd be a week in each town, and at the end of each week we do a big wrap-up party where different nightclubs in the town would vie to
Wrap up,
to-
you mean
to-
like as in condoms?
no, like it's in a big party.
No, that's strap up.
Oh,
No.
strap ups.
And here's an example that we were given this. We were going to do our wrap-up party in this big nightclub. I was given a big VIP area. One of the girls that came to the party, I kept disappearing, taking her back into the bathroom, the VIP area. And we go into the stall, and I'd be doing a bunch of coke, making out, doing coke off her tits and stuff like that. So we kept going to the bathroom. She didn't do any drugs. She just liked being there.
She was just a plate.
Yeah, she was the plate.
She was a plate.
We kept going in there. At one point, we're in there and we hear, let's say her name is Janet. It's not. We hear, Janet, are you in here? And it's another girl. And I'm like, oh, fuck, cockblock.
Yes.
And the girl I'm with is like, we're in here. We're in a stall.
And now I have two.
So the girl comes in and I
two
expect her to
plates.
either want Coke or to be like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And
What are you
so
doing?
she comes in and she's like, you guys just continue.
I'm gonna watch.
So I did some coke and I'm making out with her friend, and all of a sudden I feel my pants unzip
Hey.
and the friend's down on her knees.
Hey.
She stands up.
What a good friend.
Then they're like, do you want to come back to our place? And I was
And
like,
you
sure.
said no, and then you went to church the next day.
That's
This
exactly it.
equals no
That's exactly what happened. I know you did.
instigation.
So I said, sure. So they basically, it wasn't like, yeah, we'll do it sometime later tonight, or they were like, let's go now.
Right.
So I went to my producer and I'm like, I'm going. She's like, can you give me a ride back? So
That's
I'm
very polite of you.
like, it was very polite. So we left, dropped my producer back at the hotel.
That's
And
even
went
more
to
polite.
their-
That would have been like,
Your
dude, I'm
producer
getting
was not a cockblocker. That's amazing.
Yeah, no,
I
she
love
was
it.
all for it. So she,
Oh, that's why she.
yeah, so we went
So
to,
the
oh yeah,
dude,
she
he
was,
was like,
yeah.
well, there's two of them. Can I
So
come?
Right.
these girls take me home,
Yeah.
take me back to their dorm room.
What?
Yeah,
You said dorm room?
yeah.
It was Ohio State.
You mean as a dorm, as in?
Yeah, he was
that what they
doing
call
the
them?
the girls
Yeah,
of
the girls.
Yeah.
the girls of University.
Oh,
X.
university girls.
Yeah, these are
Got
called, yeah.
you. Okay.
So they take me back and
Did a Bible study.
yeah.
No.
In the beginning,
Yes.
they were
Anyway, at
fruitful
some
and
point, the one
multiplied.
girl gets up, pulls herself out of this sweaty pile,
Whoa.
and is like, I got to get back to my boyfriend.
Oh.
Don't.
Was that the plate or the service?
That was the other
Oh,
one.
the
So
service.
she leaves. I wake up in the morning with this girl lying on top.
What a
The other
lucky
girl is
boyfriend
sweat.
that guy is.
I get up, I pull myself out and say goodbye. I go and get a cab back to the hotel, go into my hotel room, and
There's two more girls waiting for you.
no.
With
And
Bibles.
No, this goes another direction.
Stupid.
I don't know why I keep saying Bibles.
The alternate David comes up, which happened a lot, and I just started bawling, crying.
Oh wow.
And my producer's knocking on the door, going, come up, what's the matter? And she comes in, and I'm like, I feel dirty. I feel like I took advantage of these girls. And she was like, they dragged you out of here.
Right? He
They-
forgot
I was
about
like-
the unzipping.
They
the
grabbed you out of here
She
with
was like, I watched
with
it.
cocaine and a dick suck.
And
There
she
was
said,
no initiation on your part.
No, you were just a
and
victim.
she was like, David, any guy, what you said, she was
Right.
like, any guy in your situation, I don't care,
Any guy with
would
testosterone.
not have turned that down. You can't beat yourself up.
Unless you're a guy
About
who
these-
likes dicks, and then
Yeah.
you would have turned.
Right.
it
Then
down,
you wouldn't have
for
been in
sure.
that situation.
No.
You'd have been like,
But-
stop.
Anyway, that kind of
me.
thing happened, not a lot, but I'd always afterwards feel
Did you say that happens often?
it
It
happened.
did. It had
happened.
to.
Yeah. Well, we know. I mean, it's good to hear it though, because you assume, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a photographer, you would.
We like to live vicariously.
Oh yeah.
Back then it seemed normal. Back then I was like, nah, I'm one of the good guys. Now looking back, I'm like, that.
No, I wasn't that good.
Now you would
I
say
was,
no.
I was friendly.
Oh, now I would
wasn't
say.
good.
You would say.
You know, you reminded me. Do you ever watch that? Who's that? There's a comedian that does Edward Grimley, or no? Who's that guy?
Definitely don't know.
Yeah, you reminded me of him. I'll show you
Yeah,
afterwards.
definitely don't know.
When you,
He must be one cool, good-looking motherfucker.
oh, I'll show you.
man.
Yeah.
I'm reminded. He's reminded.
Well, I don't think we can top the
Yeah, man. That's
the no
beautiful.
initiation story.
You got any more drug stories to tell us here today?
I remember one night being out all night. I was invited to a frat party.
Ah.
And you go
seeing
there
it-
and
I'm
they're
seeing the
like,
trend
here.
here.
Anyway, I ended up spending all night out. The next day I had to shoot. And I remember shooting this young girl. I can show you the picture I actually shot of her. She was on a black leather couch, naked, playing with a computer. And I was so hungover. This was back when it was film and not digital. I was so hungover. I was sitting on an ottoman, and this girl she wasn't a real model.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, and to us,
To the subject.
to her, we're pretty bigger than life people. That she's like, well, I guess this is the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
She was modeling, and I was so hungover between every shoot, between every role.
You fell asleep.
I would basically hand my camera over to my assistant. I would lie back on the couch
Nod off.
and fall asleep, and then and I'd sit back up, grab the camera, reload, and continue shooting.
Oh, that's a
and then be
professional
like,
right there,
hand
man.
it to her, fall asleep, and the girl didn't question any of it.
Yeah.
She was like, I guess this is just part for the course, and that's one of those photographs that I look back and I was like, wow, I must know what I'm doing
I
because I
must be
look back.
really good. I was unconscious.
Yeah, because I look back
Those
and I'm
pictures
like,
are going to be voted for GQ.
well, no, I look back and I'm like, that was a great picture, and I was really not even there.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, one thing that's cool about David, he's done the Playboy thing, and he's done all the high fashion stuff like that. But he's worked with a lot of celebrities, like big names that you would know, and like one.
And I say all this to say, all these stories,
Yeah.
that it's kind of brought me to where I am now. Like it's kind of, there's been a spiritual growth through all that.
Well,
That I
has to
don't think you get to
That
that
has to be.
until you kind of have to go through some. Not that that's darkness, but you have to go through some of that. I think to
Yeah, it's
come
life.
to the other
You have
side.
to do
and-
some
and-
real sinning before you feel like you need to repent.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
like to you, like, you know what? I need to change
Yeah.
the way I think about stuff.
Yeah.
And also
It's
having
time.
having a daughter. I mean,
Yes.
I've got a 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
That,
she looks just like you, by the way.
Thank you.
Same
Well-
hair. No, not like, well, minus the beard and,
Yeah.
and you know,
But yeah, it's
the cuteness.
having a daughter really, changes the way you think about things. and-
Was that instant? Or was that like when you
No,
found
I
out?
mean, to be honest, I started feeling that way before Jansen came along. Because people would say it was a Jansen. I'm like, no, I started,
She just was like the
feeling-
exclamation point.
yeah. That even when Hef died and they sent journalists to my place, it was on CBS.
Yeah.
And even during that, I was like, part of me doesn't regret because it's all learning.
Oh, of course.
But I remember, once again, the crying thing. I remember doing castings and at the end of the day crying because I felt like here these poor girls were coming in, getting completely naked for a stranger, and looking at me for, what's the word?
Well, they're looking at you as an authority figure.
It's just,
basically.
am I beautiful?
Hold that thought.
Holding it, looking at you for, what's the word you're looking for?
And I've got to take a pee. I got to go pee.
Okay. Like bad?
How bad
Oh,
you-
not too
We
bad.
need to wrap it up. Anyway.
We got 40 minutes still
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
of tape. I mean, are we going long on this one?
No, we can go a little longer.
Because there's going to be some cuts.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, no,
Let
we'll
me
get
go
some
back
all
real
good.
quick.
Okay.
Go.
Be
Looking,
careful with your mic.
Don't be dropping the mic in the
Yeah,
toilet, David.
um,
Or talk
looking
shit.
to you
Put it in your pocket.
for not approval, but
They'll edit it, David.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll just talk. The more stuff they have, the more they can.
We're just going to keep rolling, so editing's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, let me hit that joint while he's doing that. Is it out?
Light switch. There we go.
Son of the bitch.
Oh, my God.
Son of the bitch. Yeah, dude, he's shot like Morgan Freeman, Woody Harrelson, like.
Talk more about that.
Yeah, I can say their names, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, that's where I was going next.
Try and keep the toxicity.
Male doctors.
I mean, it's cool what you guys
What are you
done,
talking
but always cut it.
About what? I
He's
don't know
talking
what.
about- He's talking about the
Yeah, you gotta tell me what it is.
Clayton,
I don't know what the political.
ditties. And, well, I just know the more shit you have to go through. The
Oh
better.
yeah, that was them. That was them.
We're all live right now.
Yeah, live. What's
That was
up?
that was them saying that. I
up?
wasn't saying all that.
Feminist. Yeah.
I wasn't toxic. I just knew. I just knew.
Tony was.
Been absolved.
But
Yes.
the thing is, I just knew that in that situation that chicks was gonna put you. They're gonna like, what you gonna do,
Oh,
player?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, women just do that.
It's on. It's on. Let me see what you're about. You know. Sometimes.
They be placing bets too.
Yeah. It's his
Oh,
fault.
that felt
David-
good.
David's got this his own special kind of swagger. You know what I mean? So it's funny, like when I see him like talking to girls and stuff.
I just realized you could probably hear me in there.
Complete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
So
why I was
we
like,
heard
ah, it
all the
felt
shit
good.
talking you do, David.
I can hear it in post. They couldn't hear it now.
So what's funny is I'm sitting
It's
here.
okay that Tony's black.
As I'm
He's
sitting
my
here-
good friend.
No, as I'm
We're
sitting
family,
here,
goddammit.
as I'm sitting here having to pee, I watch a lot of Joe Rogan. Did you see the one? I think I was telling you
All
should.
right, we gotta go back live.
All right.
I,
All right, so these girls are looking at you. And,
for some sort of what is it when you tell? I'm telling you you're beautiful. I'm
validation.
validation.
Yeah.
So these girls are looking at me
Wait.
for.
Okay, hold on, wait. Going live. Just getting
We got Buffalo in back there, right there.
we got YouTube.
We need and
All right.
all right. Some girl,
She took it.
girls are looking for it.
And looking at you with.
So I would have these girls. The girls. I'd have sometimes 50 girls come in a day.
Yeah.
They'd come in, fill out the paperwork. They'd be sent back to me. We'd go into a room. They take their clothes. I'd usually say get as naked as you want to be, but do remember this is Playboy. This isn't Field and Stream.
Right.
And I would give them the respect of leaving. I'd be like, just knock on the door when you're. Cause
Yeah,
you know,
very
I stand-
professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would come in. The girls would be naked or have whatever. And I
Yeah.
would. And a lot. I have very mixed feelings. Sometimes it was empowering for them. I guess when you ask them why they were there, if there's.
Oh, that's one of your questions?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
sometimes
why?
I'd be like, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And there were good answers and bad. There's answers that I'd be like, that's a bad reason.
I need
Like
the
I need the money
I need the money.
because I'm like.
Yeah. It's a terrible reason.
Yeah, but
God
sometimes
gave
I'd
me
be-
all these gifts. I thought I'd
That's a
show
good-
them,
that's a
share
good
them with the
answer.
world.
What's that?
God gave me all these gifts. I thought I'd share them with the world.
You're like, check that one off. All right.
You are gifted.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, sometimes you get very, very upset at the end of the day because
Yeah.
these girls would come in and take the clothes off and looking at me for that validation that I'm like, why, I shouldn't be that one.
Right.
I'd have girls though that would come in. I spoke to a girl last week that I shot years ago, and I was asking her. She contacted me about something. I forget what it was. She's married now and has kids, and I was like, "How do you feel about what you did? What we did back then?" And I told her how I felt. Just that
You talking about in the photo shoot or what you guys did?
Oh no, I'm talking about a photo shoot.
Okay.
I'm talking about a photo shoot.
I just, hey man, I gotta know what we're
And
talking.
she said, well, it's funny because my husband and I, who I met her husband, who was a boyfriend at the time, she said, my husband and I divorced. And in court, one of the things he said was like, I can't believe you posed for Playboy. And I was like, well, I remember meeting him.
Why you bringing up old shit?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
And you didn't have a problem with it then.
you didn't, yeah. But yeah, I'd have girls come in and leave. And I remember doing a casting up in Toronto and casting a girl, and she walked out. And as she was passing my producer, she was crying. And my producer was like, everything okay? And she was like, yeah. And she was all of a sudden concerned that something had happened. And she was like, what happened? And she was like, I just experienced something that I'll probably remember the rest of my life, that it's the most beautiful. I have never felt so strong and so.
Wow.
And she was like, I will never forget this.
That's good. That's amazing.
And I had probably more girls do that
Then the opposite.
than the opposite. And so, yeah, and I had a lot of girls that I talked out of doing it. Girls would
Oh,
be,
wow.
girls which I was one of the rare ones that did that. The girls that I would be like, oh, they'd come in, cast, and then I'd call them and be like, okay, we're going to go with you. And then they'd say, do you mind meeting for coffee? Do you mind meeting and talking to me? And I remember one girl specifically who was a slam dunk. They would give me, we had our going rate for this is how much we'll pay you to do nude. But if it was someone very special, I was given a ceiling of a lot of money. And she would have been someone that I would have paid a lot of money. And she told me, well, I can't remember what it was. It might have been something in teaching. She told me what she wanted to do with her career. And she was trying to decide whether to do this or not. And I, at the end, was like,
We
you know
never
something?
got to see that one.
I was like, I did.
Damn it.
Oh, you did? Again.
We might have some pictures of it too.
No, that's another story. No, and I talked to her. I was like, after you told me, I don't think you should do it. And then by the end of the conversation, she actually was like, though, I think I do want to do it.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being like, I don't think I can shoot you. I said I wouldn't feel good about it. And
That's when you pick up the phone and you fucking call me, man.
yeah, well, we actually stayed
Damn it,
friends
David.
for a long time. After that, she went into teaching, and we stayed friends for a long time. A lot of these girls I stayed friends with, and I talked.
Well,
to
I mean,
them.
it's not like you did anything like bad, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
So, you know.
I had another girl call me last year. She was married. She got married, and she is a girl that I messed around with. I had just bought these really nice pajama bottoms that I was so proud of, and she stole them. And whenever I spoke to her over the years, she was like, "I'm still holding on to those pajama bottoms."
Wow.
I've never watched them, David.
Anyway, she married this guy that last year she contacted me. Her husband was running for some political office, and she was like,
It's about right.
She was like, "Is there any way the pictures that we took, that were in Playboy, is there anything that can be done about them coming?" And I
Call
was like,
Playboy and
I was
pay
like,
them all the money in the morning.
no, I was like, at this point, no. I said, the only thing, I'm not a, what do you call it, spin doctor, whatever you call it. I'm not an advisor, but the only thing I could suggest is this guy's, I would just be upfront about it and tell him the guy's running for office.
Oh, the guy doesn't know?
No, he knows. No, he was
Okay.
they were trying to figure out how to get
Oh,
them.
how to get it off?
And then I'm like, I don't think it can be,
I'm not a lawyer or anything, but that shit ain't going anywhere.
yeah, no, I was like, it's
Listen, if you can't take your own picture off of Google, okay? Playboy, that picture is for life, man.
you can't, if you pay, can't you get it removed? I know
No,
you
man.
used
No, you can't do shit with that.
Dallas Austin did. Dallas, I know some of the dead.
You fuck- Why are you stuttering, man?
I've got a friend.
I
that was-
got
No, listen. I've got a friend that was going to Naomi Campbell's birthday party in Dubai, and this friend, I don't know how he did this. Especially Dubai, he ended up getting pulled aside in Dubai with cocaine on him, and ended up in a jail in Dubai for 3 months.
Well, don't fly.
Well, I don't know how he did.
cocaine
So,
on you.
but anyway, one day it was all over Google. The next day, everything was gone, and I guess he paid.
So if I Google that right now, it would be good.
I don't know. I have not tried that.
Google might just, what they do is like, oh, we'll just put it in rotation. Boop. Because, dude, this is,
I mean,
Maybe back then it was easier to get something.
maybe, I don't know.
Because I know
If that happened for him,
they definitely
good
can
for him.
censor
'cause
whatever
that's,
they want.
that's some lucky shit. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I know girls are like, can't like delete their old Facebook because they don't want those pictures out there, and it's already on Google, right?
Yeah.
And then they go back and they search it and they see it with like some old like boyfriend or whatever, and you're like, they want to take it down because whoever they're dating now or marrying or whatever doesn't want that shit out there. So, and Google's like,
I was like, do you mind?
God damn it!
Damn it, the production here was horrible.
First it was the sandwich, now it's
Was that
the,
a sandwich?
No, I remember.
You're requiring a lot of editing. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, you guys keep
David, God
Come on, more exciting stories.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
exciting
So I
stories.
remember I was dating a girl from Paris, who
now you're talking.
loved to Google me, and she had ways of finding stuff that I had no idea how they existed. And she once sent a picture to me of she looked like a hooker, some trashy looking girl on my psych wall, and it was a picture of me shooting this like not a model. She looked like
vagabond.
this, yeah. And the caption was impromptu shoot with David Rams at 5 a.m. in the morning. And my girlfriend at the time, who lived in Paris,
5 a.m. in the morning.
messages me and she
Like,
sent me the
what the
picture,
fuck?
and she's like, "What the fuck is it? Are you photographing hookers now?"
At 5 o'clock in the morning?
And I'm looking at it, going, "The fuck is that? I don't even remember that." I'm like, must have been hires. I don't know what. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Okay, hold on a second. If I was to be photographing a hooker at 5 o'clock, do you think I'd invite paparazzi over to photograph me photographing? Because I was in the shot.
What the fuck?
Right.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was in the shot, and all of a sudden I'm like, hold on a second. I wouldn't have
Witnesses.
people over here
Like,
photographing
I
me
would
doing
for sure
this.
shoot her somewhere else when there's nobody at.
So I did a search of the you know how you can do search of the image, and I found out who took it. And I contacted
Son
that
of a
guy,
bitch.
and I was like, okay, you're gonna have to refresh my memory. I don't know who you are. I don't know how did you get this photograph?
Yeah. Stop following me around, motherfucker.
No, and he was like, no, you were shooting, it was either Dallas Austin or Rico Wade, who's with the Dungeon, one of their bands.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it wasn't at 5, it was at 1 o'clock in the morning, and during a break, one of the girlfriends of the guy in the band was like, yeah, shoot me, and took all her clothes off down to her brown panties and jumped in front of my camera.
And you already have your camera with you.
And
at all
he, no,
times.
she jumped in front of my, jumped on the cyc wall,
Yeah.
and I photographed her for the band.
Also uninstigated.
Yes.
Also, yes, so that was.
We need to start a photography company immediately. that's what we're gonna do. Hey, let me ask you a question, man. I know you've shot like Morgan Freeman, like Woody Harrelson, some really big name A-list celebrities.
Naked? No.
Well, if you have shot them naked, I would never want to see those.
Uninstigated.
pictures.
Right, uninstigated.
Uninstigated. Morgan Freeman naked. Like, that would be some shit I'm gonna have to get therapy for. Nothing against him, but just not my cup of tea, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you know,
Good
like,
question.
so, like, was Morgan Freeman exactly how he is when you see him like narrating shit on TV, or like, did he talk to you like that? Was he like jokey? Was he, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
And Morgan Freeman was exactly the way you would expect him to be.
like,
As far
Like
as,
electric
far as
company?
just
What's
chill.
that?
Yeah, like,
Like
no,
electric company?
he was kind. He
Back.
was respectful. He was just
Very chill.
He was chill. He the capacity that I was there shooting, he didn't have to introduce me to anybody, but he did.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is my photographer." He was extremely kind.
Okay.
Between shoots, we actually was him, the old mayor, a mayor of Atlanta, that was also
Camp.
involved. It was also involved with.
Andrew Young.
It was also involved with.
The Mafia.
No.
Soul Club.
No. What's his
Cheetah.
name? No, you're
Titties.
making.
Stop.
What? I'm just saying. It could
No,
be
you're making it
Morgan.
worse for me because it's. I should know this name. Martin Luther King. He was part. He was one of Martin.
Oh, I
Luther
think
Martin Luther King.
Yeah,
Why
he's
you
one
gotta
of.
go
No,
there,
he was one of
David?
Martin.
Andrew,
Damn it,
Andrew
man.
Young.
Was it Andrew Young?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So Andrew Young was there, and then would have been Hank Aaron.
Yep.
And Hank Aaron was there, and also the current mayor. So we were all there. I was shooting, did a portrait of Morgan. And then in between, we started playing this game where you had to read these quotes. I think it'd say who and be like, who said this? And it was so I was sitting beside Morgan Freeman.
It was
Wow.
his quotes.
He didn't read any of his own, but playing this game with him reading quotes like this.
Dude, that would be.
It was
some
like
shit,
a
right?
surreal
You just want to like
moment.
listen. You're like,
It was a
That
surreal.
was-
can you
I was
read
like-
my quote?
I was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here. The magical thing about him was a young girl. We were shooting at the top of that building down in Atlantic Station. It's fashioned after that
Oh yeah,
building
it was
in
kind of like gothic-y, like at the time.
the Arc
like-
de Triomphe. Or, I don't know what it's called. We were shooting on the roof of that.
Okay.
And as we were leaving, a young girl came up to him, probably about 14, 15 years old, and was
You
just
my
wanted
daddy. No.
Dude, you my daddy. Just wanted to shake his hand.
Wow.
And he shook her hand,
You
and he
captured
looked
that.
at her, and was very charming, and looked at her and said, "How do you do?" Something like that. And the energy coming from him,
It's amazing.
it's almost like it hit me too, and I was almost like, "Oh."
Did you cry?
No, I didn't know, but
Did
it,
you
was,
get
it
it
almost
on film?
Yeah.
it almost melted me.
I bet.
Baby.
The energy that comes from that man was just
Yeah.
fucking
It
beautiful.
seems like, you know, I've never met him, but that's what he comes off as. Like he seems like just genuine,
yeah.
just a genuine good human being.
Yeah, he was
You know
just
what
so nice. The thing that was, have I researched this or not, was the thing that I found out was he was wearing one glove the whole time. And I'm not sure if many people know that.
I mean? Like Michael Jackson,
Yeah, but it was a black glove. He wore the whole time. There's something.
like
someone-
OJ, like OJ.
Yeah, oh God.
Just say what? OJ.
Bro, it's funny. I'm laughing.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, here's another good,
fun.
here's a good story. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, so he's got a real cool picture with Woody Harrelson kissing him.
Oh, wow.
So,
So
yeah.
I'm like,
So Woody Harrelson. So a lot of these celebrities, when I've shot them, a lot of times they'll say, their handlers will say, "You've only got them for an hour." And as I've gotten better at that, a lot of times the hour. Back in the day when I was younger, you know, when an hour was done, the celebrity would be like, "Okay, I'm
outta here."
yeah. Now they're like they want to. That's not the case. So I was shooting. They called me from.
focus.
I can't remember what. This is not working.
Thanks for the.
Just kidding.
There goes that
The-
pitch.
No, sorry, no, it is. It's making me open up.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's an oxytocin. I
Yeah,
told
man.
Yeah.
It is.
So no, I was. Actually, it was the magazine that Hugh Hefner, Esquire. Esquire contacted
Esquire,
me.
right.
They wanted me to shoot Woody Harrelson. He was in town, and their thoughts was, we want you to shoot him at a park like Piedmont Park. And I had shot there so many times that to me it was boring. I was like, after you've seen something so many times, you don't see the magic anymore. It's gone. That's why when I go to a new location, I like to shoot it before I know it very well and get used to it. So anyway, so I was like, I don't want to shoot here. Why don't I shoot? I'm going to go over and ask them if I can shoot at Botanical Gardens.
Oh, that's a cool place. Yeah.
Now looking back, I'm like, of course they're going to say yes.
This one,
But
yeah.
then I was naive and
Fucking Woody Harrelson.
I walked up and I was like, I've got someone I need to take a portrait of, but he's not going to be available to shoot until 5 or 6, and I know you're closed. I'm wondering if I could just shoot on the whatever. And then finally, they were humming and hawing, and finally, I was Woody Harrelson, and they're like, oh.
That
should've-
changes
you
up the
should've
whole
led
shit.
with that,
Yeah.
buddy.
We're gonna
In
keep
the
the place
future,
open for you.
you
lead with that.
yes.
So yeah, so that's all cool. So 5 o'clock, I'm there with my crew, got an assistant and a groomer, and someone else, and we're waiting for Woody to show up. And all of a sudden, this old beater shows up, this old car, and being driven by some dude. And I guess when he's in town, he's got kind of a local, a driver, someone that was,
Ah, okay.
I don't know, but just some regular guy. Woody gets out of the car with some stir fry. Stir fry fall down the front of his shirt. Just
Sounds
as-
like Woody Harrelson.
just completely normal
Just a
and
human
down to
being.
earth, and just like, hey,
Yeah.
and gets out. And the first thing I noticed was his eyes were something I'd never picked up on TV. That his eyes were just incredibly blue, just this vivid color. And I say that to him, and he's like, "That's because of all the weed." Joking.
I like him better
So
already, man.
with that, I was like, okay, I've scoped out a few places we can shoot. He leans down, picks up one of my bags, throws it. I'm like, Woody, I've got people ahead. He's like, ah. And so he goes forging ahead, and he's like a big kid. We
Yeah.
passed this garden of tulips or something, and he goes running into it and plops himself down in the middle of it and goes, let's try some here. And he is the
Wow.
I
the
like him so
coolest,
much more now.
most fun. We shot in all these different places. He was wanted to, experiment and have fun and do this and that, and there was nothing that was like.
This is
no.
the first time
It
you
was
met
the
him?
weed.
That
What's
was
that?
the-
Yeah, it was the way. Yeah. This is the first time I met him.
This is why you went to the botanical gardens.
Yeah, so
Which is this a different
it's
botanical
not.
gardens?
Right.
This is I
So speaking of Woody Harrelson, I just watched that movie Midway. You see it?
no, I haven't seen it.
Man, you got to watch that.
good?
It's about the Battle of Midway. Oh, my
yeah.
God, it was insane. That was like a really good movie. I don't know why it didn't do well.
Is
Probably
Woody
too
Harrelson
real.
in that?
Yes, he plays one of the
Is that
admirals.
an old movie?
It's no, it's
Isn't
the
Midway-
latest version. Came out
Okay.
in the 19th.
Is that
I
like
think.
on Netflix or something? Or is it on,
It should be. I watched it on the airplane on the, on Delta.
Don't get on any airplanes anytime soon. Okay? Yeah, that's enough of that airplane shit. I'm tired of
How
hearing.
serious is that? No, I'm not saying. I'm saying.
The airplane
'cause I'm
shit?
supposed to. Yeah, I'm supposed to fly.
I
I'm
look
supposed to-
pretty serious,
I'm
but
supposed to go
I
down to
don't-
Florida,
Yeah.
and I just told my folks today if I go down, I'll probably be driving.
Hey, for sure don't go to Florida. Yeah. Stay here.
Okay.
They have more people infected in Florida. Yeah, than here.
It's looking pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think?
The stock market definitely ain't taking it too
Forget
well.
about it. Stock market is broken right now.
Well, my son was going to fly down to Florida too from New York, and I'm like, I don't think he.
Somebody unplugged it this morning.
Yes.
When
They were
after
like-
the morning bell, it dropped 1,700 points and went
That's it. That's it.
like the breaker. Like
I guess
a,
you're
it's had
bored
a
of my
power
Woody
outage
Harrelson
or
story.
something.
What do you? No. We want to pick that up. We want to pick that up. It's his fault. He went to the Midway movie
I'm like,
and shit.
I thought when I said it's Woody Harrelson, I thought you were going to be like, no.
No, he wasn't. He was
Yeah,
in it.
no,
It
no,
was
I
great.
know.
I mean,
I
it
know.
was like
Well, he's such a good actor, man. I mean, he's legitimate.
Oh, man.
But
Yeah.
he's better. He's an even better human being. It sounds like.
He was great, yeah.
So you guys did. Is that the first time you ever met him?
Yeah, it's the first time I ever met him.
You shot him again after that, right?
Nope. I shot him until it was too dark to shoot him anymore.
wow.
And he was like, I was like, Woody,
We had no more
We
I
light.
got
we
we
got
got
no
over light. So he was like, you want to hang out later? So I was like, yeah. So he gave me his assistant's phone number so I could come and meet up with him later
Yeah.
at a bar or something. I went home
Uh-huh.
and
You fell asleep.
no,
You stood up Woody Harrelson.
I stood up Woody Harrelson because I went home and celebrated and did a bunch of coke and then was like, I'm too high to go meet Woody.
Oh.
And Woody was like, "Bring the weed."
And
I
then-
got the
no,
weed.
and then-
You bring the coke.
And then someone later who interviewed him later, he mentioned he was talking about the nice time he had with the photographer.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, I kind of blew him off. And she was like, he would have loved that even more if you would have.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
But it would have probably been an epic
Yeah.
evening, I imagine.
Yeah,
I don't-
this
I-
story would have been still going.
I know. I would have been like, are you back to earth yet?
yeah, no,
Okay.
that's an regret.
Let's make up some stuff.
Let's make some shit.
Yeah.
Put it out there for the tabloids. David Rams and Woody Harrelson party like a motherfucker. in
And
Atlanta.
then
Well, yeah, that's a
So
definitely
Woody
a
Harrelson,
regret.
and then what's another big A-lister she shot? I
Oh,
know
today-
there's a bunch, man. I
There's
mean-
a lot of musicians. I used to travel with Jane Seymour.
well, you just
so
shot
she's-
with what's the hip hop group out of Atlanta?
Amigos.
Amigos. Yeah, you shot
Oh,
their
God, yeah.
cover album or
No, I shot a cover for a guy I had never heard of, but apparently he's big.
his name is
Moneybag Yo.
Puff Daddy.
Moneybag Yo.
Yeah, I had never heard of him.
The
but
names are getting interesting these days.
yeah.
Yo, Moneybag. No, that's Moneybag.
You got it all backwards, man.
Get it right.
Fuck.
Last
So-
name first, first name.
Yeah, first name last in the middle
Is,
to the last.
first name
Yeah, I went
Yo
to LA
or
and shot
Moneybag?
him.
You shot him.
Shot him. I work with Migos
Yeah.
a lot, and I don't think I should. Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
Yeah,
As far as
okay,
Migos
fine. Hey,
stories,
man,
because they're too.
No worries.
They're
no
too
worries.
close to my. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries, man.
Good stories there though.
I bet.
Yo, essay.
Yeah, you got some essays
You're not
in there.
supposed to talk about the shoot essay.
I thought they were black.
Oh, hey, I have no idea who Amigos are. Excuse me if I'm.
Oh, they're
Oh.
Migos.
Huh?
The Migos. The
Migos, not
Probably one of the-
Amigos?
No, no, no.
Me.
Man, you talking about the Amigo? That's a movie from like the '80s.
I am not.
Three Amigos.
I am
Sorry.
not with the times, buddy.
Yes, that's fine.
I am
There we
not.
go.
I am not with the times.
It's fine. It's fine.
I don't
Okay,
know
yeah.
the difference between Migos and Amigos.
Yes.
No, Migos. Yeah, no, it's he's one of them. I get them mixed up. Just got married, or is married and has a kid with Cardi B.
Oh, okay.
You know who Cardi B is?
Yes, I
Imagine
do.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Imagine that shit, Tony.
I do.
You don't
I
know
am
any of the
very
dudes
familiar with the
out
B
there,
of
but you
Cardi.
know the girls.
Do you find her attractive?
Cardi B?
Cardi B.
In what way?
Would you have sex with her?
After
I
how
don't think
much
if she wanted to
drinking?
have sex with you, I don't think she'd give you too much of a choice.
That's true.
She'd be
will
taking it.
fuck you till you
I
die.
find her very
baby.
attractive.
I like Cardi B because she seems like very authentic. Like if you met her, like if you go to New York in certain neighborhoods, you'd see her. You know, they act like that for real.
Yeah.
I like little feisty Latin women anyway. So, you know,
Yeah.
she raps pretty good too.
Hence your wife.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Your wife's Latin?
She's Puerto Rican and Irish, so I
Yeah.
kind of got like
Oh wow.
two things
Some
going
craziness there.
European.
Craziness. And she's a Gemini, so.
I mean, look what he just said. Puerto Rican stab the shit out of you. You piss him off.
While they're
And
drunk,
Irish.
Well, they're drunk.
and
And
they're
Irish
Gemini.
punch you in the face
Yes.
for no fucking reason, just for the fun
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Like, haha.
She will ride out on you. Yes.
Yes. And he's like, I'm gonna keep that one.
And
How long
she's
you been married?
we've been together since '92. We got married in '08, so I took a little while to make up my mind.
Yeah.
But we've been, we've been together literally since the first day we met.
Where'd you meet her?
Club 112. So I met her. I was acquaintances with her boyfriend years before we actually met, and then one night I saw her and I was like, damn, I'm gonna marry that bitch. And I just was saying it as a joke,
Yeah,
just saying it
Just
as
saying
a
it.
as a testosterone-filled man. And then I met her like an hour later, and like
You're
I said,
like,
we've been
where
together.
was-
We've been
I
together
was
ever since.
actually
Where
telling the
was
truth.
Club 112? I know that.
So the Disco Kroger
yeah.
on Piedmont
Yep.
and Peachtree, right there. It used to be in the corner. It's like a world.
Well, I was going to
something.
say it was in the corner, but that
Yeah.
was a
So it was Rupert's.
Yes.
Was next
That's
door.
the club we were talking about.
We were talking about
yeah,
that.
So
Yeah.
Rupert's was next to 112.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
Rupert's
they
closed
moved,
at like
right?
2, and then 112 was
Yeah,
open
yeah.
like 11:30.
Yeah.
That was where all the
What was before
the
Rupert's?
gangsters
Wasn't there?
went.
There was something before Rupert's, I think,
Oh,
in there.
it became something after Rupert's.
Or maybe it was after.
So after, I forgot what Rupert's became after that.
What were we talking about that
I
earlier?
don't know, probably pussy.
Probably pussy.
Probably pussy.
It probably
There
was.
was a lot of that going around back
There's a lot
then.
of that going on. I know. What's the other place that's like a landmark here that's been around? And I know you've been there. You probably been
Besides
there
the
too.
GoPro?
Johnny's. No, Johnny's.
Oh, Johnny.
Johnny's Hideaway.
Hideaway, yeah. I've been there like once or twice, and that was like after it was cool.
Well, you know,
what I'm saying?
you
Like-
got. It's almost like you got to go there once because they say, you know, it's about right. All
Yeah,
the
this
Cougars
is-
go there for.
This is local stuff. We're not supposed to talk
Nah,
about.
that's all right, man. Let's talk about some shit. So, like, you know, and then the old dudes go in there and pick up young girls, and it's like, and it's still going. Like that motherfucker will never close.
Wow.
You know about Johnny's Hideaway?
Established
Yeah, I've
in
got-
1978.
Yeah, I just went. There's a
How
cleaners.
many girls have you fucked in the bathroom there?
I haven't, but my
Tell the
baby's
truth.
mama.
Uh-oh.
In the bathroom there?
I was thinking, no, almost pretty well at the bar.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I was thinking that the other day. We got drunk at what's that place on
Waffle House.
No.
Oh, okay. There's a Waffle House. right
Piccadilly.
next door.
Piccadilly. No, Piccadilly. No,
Have you
Hey,
ever-
drunk at Piccadilly?
no, there's
The
no. I'm
fuck
just
kind of
kidding.
Piccadilly
We were at a
is this?
bar on, which it became a barbecue place, and now it's a Mexican place. It's on Andrews. It doesn't matter. We were there and we got drunk,
matter.
and we got into a cab, and we were practically fucking in the cab. We wound up at Johnny's Hideaway
Of course.
at the bar, and I
Yeah.
still remember she was wearing a dress, and we were drunk, and it didn't seem like anybody was.
No, that's the one
Didn't
place.
seem
Yeah,
like it.
That
we could
place-
just, I remember just.
Well, you
hoisting
didn't
it.
seem shit because you were drunk. You didn't know. People probably panicking.
No, then we went back to the place where we live now, and had sex on a
And had
lawn
a
chair
baby.
at the pool, not realizing all the security cameras were on us.
Of course.
And so when we went in, the woman was the big
good
old
show,
woman
good
was
show.
like,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's over there with popcorn. Y'all done?
Wow.
yeah.
It's good times.
Was that? I've only been in that place twice. It was that time and yeah.
I'll tell
You
you
don't
another.
need to go after that.
Bro, I tell you
I'm
another
good.
place. Yeah, that's it. That's the one time you want to do.
Yeah.
I remember. You guys remember Backstreets?
Of course.
Oh, Backstreet, yeah.
So
That was the one place you could be with me. I could be so fucked up,
it was not.
and you went to Backstreets, and all of a sudden I'd be like, I'm sober compared
Right.
to everybody else.
Oh yeah, you would think that you're the most fucked up person on earth until you get there, and then you're like, nope, that person is more
Yep.
fucked up than me.
All of a
And
sudden,
that
all of a
person.
sudden, I become very shy and quiet, and I'd be like,
Dude, yeah, now his mind's not in the
I just that place is.
It's
just-
a
that's
fucking.
whole nother
So
level.
I tell you, the first time I went, right? So I became before I was ever chipping.
were you?
No,
Tell
not-
me you weren't
No, I
topless
was not
dancing there.
No, I
No.
wasn't. No. This is what happened. So before I was ever a Chippendale, whatever, I started to dance a little bit at Cornet, but I was like 18, right? And then at the end of the night, when everything closed, and everybody's like, "We're going to Backstreet," I'm like, "Where the fuck is Backstreet?" They're like, "Just come with us, you'll see." So I didn't know. So we get there, and they're like, "It's a gig." I'm like, "Dude, I don't roll like that." You know what I mean? So to Eastern, I'm like, "No, we're gonna go up here." We go up there, and it's all the strippers from all the other strip clubs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The female strippers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"You motherfuckers,
The trap.
you motherfuckers!
You have
Why
to
did you
walk
bring
through
me
the-
here in this month?" You
If
know?
you could just make it to the other side.
Right, and I'm like,
yeah.
"What is this place? What is this magical
I
place?"
know you're uncomfortable
You
at
have
the
to go
door.
through the gauntlet.
Oh yeah. So when you walk in there, you're like, "Oh man."
Just trust me.
Yeah.
Hold my hand.
They were like, "Just don't go downstairs."
No, don't hold my hand.
Yeah, don't hold my-
Because if you
Don't
went
touch
downstairs,
me.
there was just a sea of topless men writhing and sweating together.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you go in, like go up.
And Polish was like,
Do not go to.
I have to use
Paz
the
was
restroom.
like, "David,
Look.
get your ass up here. What the fuck you
Will
doing?"
you
Polish,
please go?
come on.
Will you please go to the restroom with me?
Yeah, right. No, you hold it. You hold it there.
I remember, do you remember Karma?
Yeah.
I remember the bathrooms at Karma were less. I'm hooking up
Legendary.
with so many girls in the bathrooms at Karma.
You can see the bathrooms from Google Earth if you just put a black light on it.
Yeah, bad.
It's bad. It's a bad sign. Wow. Don't want to.
That was a fun place. There isn't places like that around anymore.
So you
No,
take.
Atlanta has went through some changes. It's no longer
I know,
that kind
man.
of
It's
place
kind
anymore.
of. It's kind of.
Like, it
Like,
was
that was the
really-
good times, right?
What was that, like late 80s? Like, really like 90s.
It
But
was like.
Yeah.
It was like.
like it really was going on in like 88, 89,
Yeah.
90. I started going to the club at 89,
I was
90.
15, man, when I started.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, for me, it was like right in the 90s. You remember, like, Buckhead had all that
Yeah.
strip. It was amazing.
See, I never came into Buckhead. I was always downtown. I was either at I went from
Anytime?
no. Oh, I remember Anytime. Anytime was a little crazy for me, or not crazy. It was another one of those.
It was crazy for you.
Not crazy,
The
but it
fuck
was like a
happened
little
there?
out of my comfort level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't intimate. It was too big. So I'd go to I like Karma,
Yeah.
and there was a place on Peachtree. Was it on Peachtree near Karma that we'd always wait till when that place. God, what was it called? We'd leave that place and go to Mike Krongold owned it. The guy that owns Tongue and Groove.
yeah.
Not Vision.
No.
Not Opera. Not 1150.
Living room? No, that's late.
Was
It
it
came
Vision
later.
for
Sutra? Was it Sutra Lounge?
No. Anyway, we'd leave there like, when they closed. We'd head down to Opera or Karma.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was
the last
different,
time I
right?
was there was at a swingers party. After they closed down, they had
There
a
we go
private
again. Let's go.
private party down.
You remember when you shot me back? No.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You got your camera with you? Come to the bathroom with my husband and me. Like what? Right? How many times that happened, David?
Oh.
Yeah,
quite a
see?
bit.
There you go. That's all you gotta say. You don't have to say a
Quite a
number.
bit.
Don't have to say a number.
Yeah, no, I used to. I had a friend of mine that owns a swingers club, and he used to use my old warehouse, my old studio, as a location for some of their parties.
So when you look back, man, like when you look back at your life and you've had all these crazy things that people, you know, for the most part, people will hear about things like this. They don't ever experience it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People just say, "Oh, yeah, man, that would be amazing," or you know. But you know, you've had this life of all this amazing stuff. You know, I think it's amazing. Some people will disagree and say, "Oh, it's gross" or whatever, but they're stupid. And you've had this amazing life. Would you take any of it back? Like, would you regret any of it? Would you change anything about that path? Or would you, if you had to relive it, would you relive it the same way?
I would live it the same way. To be honest, I mean, right now I might even have taken it farther. I don't know. I mean, it's all growing.
Right.
When you make it to the other side,
Yeah.
you realize that I won't say had to go through all that, but you take it for what it is, and it made you better. It made you, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they get lost. They don't make it out. You know, they end up dead or jail or whatever.
I mean, those times are fun. Those times
Yeah.
are exciting. They're
Yeah.
fun, and you know, it's not too far back in the past.
Yeah.
But I also look at it like that's exciting and fun. And I'm not just saying this to say it, but a day spent with my daughter
Right.
is much more
Valuable.
valuable and
Rewarding, fulfilling,
rewarding
entertaining.
than you know. There's a
Yep.
David Bowie said something. He didn't say something recently. He passed away, but I read a quote of him recently talking about the nighttime and staying up through the night. And I can definitely, because I used to be one of those night people. And he was talking about how no matter what time he goes to bed, he gets up every day, or got up every day. I think at 6:30. And he says the people that live through the night, there's a darkness there that you carry with you. That even in those exciting times, I don't know if it makes sense. Even in
No,
those
you
fun,
are
exciting
making
times,
tons of
there's a darkness that you carry with you.
Oh,
Even though it's
100%.
interesting, exciting, it's fun. There is definitely
100%.
there's a darkness
There's a depression that goes with it.
that is with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings you down, for
That
sure.
that you know it's you know I still in small doses I fall for it still.
Of course.
But yeah, you realize the most fulfilling are things underneath the sun. You know,
That's how I am.
That's how you
symbolically.
Yeah, that's
Not
how
always
I am.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I definitely would, you know, there's some stuff I would have done different just because I'm wise now. Doesn't mean, it probably, like I say, probably would have went a little harder, actually.
yeah.
But to be whole on the other side, you can look back and appreciate it and say, well, you know, thank you for bringing me through that. You know, now I'm wise, and now I can talk about it in a way that maybe you can help some other people. You know, if not avoid it, but at least go through it and make it through.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
And
people
I
I
do-
know didn't make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell these stories not to glorify
You're not boasting,
it,
I know.
No,
yeah.
not at
but
all.
just because there is a darkness
100%.
with all of that. You know, yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, all three of us have been in that world, so we know. Like, there's times where you get so depressed. Even though, you know, people from the outside think, oh, well, you got
You live in
all
great.
of this attention. You've got all these people wanting to be you and wanting to talk to you and take pictures. But you're just like, at the end of the day, you go home and you're by yourself and you just don't feel
Yeah,
it.
well, I remember like having a one of those fun nights
Yeah.
with a bunch of girls and just doing crazy stuff, and getting in a cab and leaving. And actually didn't want to go all the way home because it was farther away. Went to my friend's place and was just hysterically crying, just so depressed and felt so alone about this exciting. He was like, "Why are you crying about this?"
Yeah, yeah,
And he gave me a Xanax or something and put me out.
yeah.
And
Take
woke
this-
up
take this
woke
and
up
shut
later that day and was like, "Wow, I don't want to do that again."
Yeah. No, I mean,
Until the next week.
Right.
Then-
depression is a real thing, man. I mean, you know, clinically, majority of people, maybe all people are depressed to a level, to some degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that lifestyle doesn't help.
A lot of the stimulus, our lives are full of stimulus: phones, food, drugs, all that type of stuff. And then when it wears off and you're by yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like that reality, you end up facing reality. And so people end up depressed like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of it comes from our appetites. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, in other words, you're so high, and then anywhere near normal, you feel like you're inadequate or it's depressing, actually. So
The drug thing. A friend of mine, which I totally agree with. We were talking about him earlier. He was he definitely was a drug addict, and he had a mantra that he would say, if that's the right word, that please don't let sobriety get in the way of some of my crazy decisions. And I totally agree with that because I at heart am a very quiet. Without any, I'll be the first one to be like want to go to bed at 9:30 and watch TV, and it was through drugs that would make me make. Some people would say those silly mistakes, but those are also, anything I've told you, I was under the influence. Without that, I would.
That world kind of goes hand in. It's real easy to get into that.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
But let's do this, man. Let's end on a really positive, happy, fucking motivational, good thing. Okay. Do you have a favorite, like a David Bowie quote or something like that that's really uplifting and powerful that stands out to you? He's a giant David Bowie fan. That's why I'm asking him that because he's. If there's one
that
out
one
there,
you gave earlier was really awesome.
yeah. If there's one out there, I mean, he knows one that really stands out for you that you really.
There's one he said, I don't know where I'm going.
Let's not misquote.
Let me let's not misquote this.
Good old Google.
This is a good because I don't want to misquote him.
It's only proper for this because he literally is like the biggest David Bowie.
Oh yeah, I had a gallery got in touch with me about 2 years ago because I've been to all of David Bowie's concerts, most of them. I went to his 50th birthday party in New York. I've been collecting paraphernalia of his since I was 13. So a gallery got in contact with me and asked me if they could curate my collection. And
So basically, if you're a David Bowie fan out there, don't fuck with David. This thing.
no, I'm working on something for a sculptor. They're doing he's doing a sculpture. A sculpture is that a sculpture of oh my God, my brain's going blank. The electric car,
The Tesla?
the Tesla. He's doing a sculpture of actually Tesla.
With David Bowie in it.
Nikolai Tesla?
Yeah,
I mean, serious?
yeah.
That's
Because
so
they wanted to be. They're going to put it in. Where's he from? Or not where he's from. He did something out in Colorado, so it's going to go in Colorado. It's going to be a big sculpture, and there's no existing photographs of his assistant, and they wanted to have his assistant in it. And so instead, he decided, and that's why they contacted me, because my knowledge of David Bowie. They're going to in the sculpture. They're going to make the assistant David Bowie.
Beautiful. Give me that quote, man.
Quotes.
That's
Let's
deep.
see. This is either. It's the first one that comes up. I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise it won't be boring.
Hey, that's perfect,
I
man.
know that's right.
So we're going to. Awesome having you with us today.
Yeah, that was great.
Learned a lot of badass shit from my brothers.
No.
Yeah, yeah.